protest in Chicago last month. Dave Stewart reports.
21-year-old Jamal Green's accused of verbally threatening one officer, then striking a police commander on the shoulder near the Taste of Chicago, as well as grabbing a captain's belt as police shooting protesters roved from the Taste up Michigan Avenue July 9th. Green entered his plea before Judge Charles Burns, who was randomly assigned to the case after Green objected to Mara Slattery Boyle, the original judge, believing that she couldn't be fair because she's a former county prosecutor. Burns is also a former prosecutor. David Stewart, Chicago.
The 6.2 earthquake in Italy led the news today, but there was another earthquake, this one in Myanmar.
We're still gathering information on the event, and we'll stay in close touch with the U.S. Embassy in Rangoon and the government of Burma and other humanitarian partners in the country.
At least one is dead and historic temples were damaged. For USA Radio News, I'm Rod Williams Stoll.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. Want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield today, and we have a ton of stuff to cover. And I'm going to do something a little different tonight. We got what I do, folks. If you all don't know, and I may have talked about this before, but I'll repeat it. I collect, and I really mean I do collect articles that I talk about during the show, and I archive them. And I do that for a number of different reasons, but one of the main reasons I do it is in order to be able to come back later and reference them, because I think that it's important that not only, just like when you're writing a book, you want to have resources for the things that you talk about. So when you're writing a book, you want to have resources. Bear with me here, folks. For the things that you talk about. So one of the things that, in keeping all these articles, there's always a backlog, right? Other radio show hosts do this. I mean, for the most part, people do keep archives. I know Rush Limbaugh, he calls it his stack of stuff. And, and you can go to like Mark Levin's website, which I listen to Mark on occasion when I can, and you can find his archives on his website as well. So I have a bunch of really great articles that really didn't fit into like a theme, if you will, any of our previous shows. So I want to kind of look at some of these different items and discuss them and see what you all think. I did put together a topic for tonight that I did want to discuss, something that I saw, and it kind of coincides with these articles that I've been kind of wanting to talk about. And my question for the show tonight is, social media good or bad for our society? And look, it doesn't have to be an absolute. You don't have to say yes it is or no it isn't. You can, if you want to call in 504-556-9696 and tell me what you think, that's good enough for me. What I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to examine the way that social media operates and truly determine whether or not it's something that's good for society. It's technology. It's here. The kids love it. And so many people do, utilize social media and benefit from it. But I do think it causes a lot of complexities in our society. And it's something that's definitely worth discussing. If you want to, folks, in the means where we're talking about social media, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Paul Revere Again, as well as at Paul Revere Again on Facebook. And as well, you can reach out to me at Lanterns Buzz on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, and look, if you don't have social media, that's fine. You can always call me 504-556-9696. So one of the articles that I wanted to talk about tonight that I read, that I was kind of disturbed when I first thought about it. And then I started thinking about why is there so much crazy crap that we see in social media? And I think there's some interesting parts of this here that we can say that for the most part, people are just, trying to get their moment in fame. And sometimes people that are struggling in their career, they'll do crazy stuff in order to be able to get a headline somewhere. But this article comes out of teenvogue.com. Yes, teenvogue.com. Folks, relax. I'm not a subscriber to Teen Vogue. I don't frequent Teen Vogue. I actually happened to see it on the Facebook feed. And this is normally an article that I would have passed up. But I said, you know what? There's got to be something in this, a little nugget of truth that we can extract out of this article and make it relevant to society. Maybe learn something from it, right? The name of the article is Bella Thorne Comes Out as a Bisexual. Okay, I have no idea who Bella Thorne is. The fact that she's a bisexual, I could really care less. But after doing a little bit of very surface level research, apparently she was a Disney star. Okay, so let me read the article. There's actress and Teen Vogue cover star Bella Thorne has officially come out as bisexual, and we couldn't be happier for her. Isn't that nice? She spoke out about her sexuality in a very organic way. She didn't make it a grand announcement or wait for a big interview with a magazine, but instead opted to simply talk about it when it came up. Bella recently ended things with British actor Greg Sulkin and has been reportedly single. Now, photos of 18-year-old famous in-love star kissing a girl having popped up on the internet, and excited fans have been reaching out to Bella on her Twitter, asking if she identifies as bisexual, and she confirmed with yes. So, I guess, first and foremost, when it comes to bisexuality or whatever your sexual preference is, however you look down between your legs and determine what kind of person you are, I really don't really care. Okay? My concern is, what does this mean within our culture? Like, what is the relevance behind this article? Obviously, it's getting spins in the news. I mean, I did find it was trending on Facebook. Okay, and Facebook trends typically show that there's some relevance in this. In fact, this particular Teen Vogue article got 5.4 million likes. Okay, and I don't know if this is actually the Teen Vogue or the article itself, and that's probably something that needs to be clarified. So let me redact that, because that actually could just be Teen Vogue in itself getting 5.4 million likes. If this article or this person got 5.4 million likes, I'd really feel like I was on another planet, which I may still feel like I'm in another planet. So what I don't want to focus on necessarily is the bisexual aspect of this, because quite honestly, I could care less about Bella Thorne and her sexual proclivities. It's just something that I really don't care about. But in understanding why does a person feel the need to be able to come out officially as bisexual or whatever sex that you may wish to determine yourself, and in the process, why is it that it seems to me that the public wants to reach out to people like her and validate her in a way that makes her some kind of pop culture hero? So in my question about whether or not social media is good or bad for our society, I want you to think about this. Let's just kind of role play this for a second. Okay, actress Bella Thorne, she's apparently she's probably a D-list actor or something like that, or actress, and career's not going too well. And she finds that her publicist says, look, you need to do something that gets you a little attention, right? You need to do something that's kind of crazy. Like the Kardashians, they're always taking their clothes off in front of the media or making porn videos or whatever to try to get, the underbelly of society to give you attention, right? So to me, this is what this is all about. And the fact that it's being celebrated is somewhat of a concern, because I think that people are so PC, they're so politically correct, that they look for any opportunity to show that they're not homophobic or they're not sexist or whatever it may be. So, little thought experiment, folks. I'm interested in your thoughts. 504-556-9696. And give me a call on the Battlefield Live. You're listening to Chris Pilier from the Lanterns Radio Network. I'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282. 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Thank you for joining us on the Battlefield. So I'm asking the question, is social media destroying our culture? And I've been thinking about this for quite a while. And obviously, look, I'm pretty well versed in social media, I guess you could say. I mean, at the moment, I'm tweeting from @PaulRevere again for all of our people that follow us on Twitter and actually on Facebook as well at Lanterns Buzz and Paul Revere again. So, as I sit here and contemplate whether or not social media is bad for our culture, I'm in the process reaching out to thousands and thousands of people. So is it like anything else? I mean, is it like, let's maybe make a comparison to marijuana, right? I mean, can someone partake in smoking marijuana and it be an acceptable societal thing that is actually serves a good and bad purpose at the same time? These are interesting social questions, And I'm interested in your thoughts. So if you want to give me a call, 504-556-9696. And in the realm of social media, I want to mention Spreaker.com, SoundCloud.com, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Player FM. These are all places you can find the Battlefield Live radio program, and you can do a keyword search for Lanterns Buzz, and you can find us there. Also, you can find us on several different networks, radio networks, Red Nation Rising, Red State Talk Radio, ICRN Radio, as well as the Lanterns Radio Network, which we're launching our stream on the 5th, September 5th. So, and once again, I want to thank WGSO 990 AM for all that they've done to promote Battlefield Live, and it's always been a pleasure to be able to get on the airwaves in New Orleans. So this story about Bella Thorne, maybe some of you is probably the first time you've ever heard of this girl's name. She has come out officially on social media and said that she's a bisexual, right? There's a picture of her kissing another girl, which actually looks pretty awkward. And look, I'm not an expert in the techniques and the ways that kissing it looks normal or natural, I guess. But this picture just looks really awkward to me. And her tweet says, "Wake me up when these damn girls will officially date." Actually, it's not her tweet, it's somebody else. But and then Bella Thorne responds, yes, that she is bisexual. She says, she was met with an outpouring. This is an article. It says she was met with an outpouring of support from her fans, including us, which is Teen Vogue, the magazine Teen Vogue. "We couldn't be prouder for Bella for living her authentic and best life. That said, it's also important to note that this kind of personal information is never something anyone owes to the public. Sexual identity is never something anyone should be forced to talk about. And it is never something that anyone should feel that they have to label either. Regardless of how people identify, Bella is doing her part to make the world and internet a safer and more supportive place for people in the LGBTQSYZ whatever community." So my problem with this, I guess one of my biggest issues with it is this magazine is probably read by thousands and thousands of teenage girls. Okay, this is, I'm looking at this page. It's actually 5.4 million people like this on Facebook, this particular Teen Vogue. And this is the message that they put out. Now, I'm not someone that comes out and tries to beat up on the LGBTQ XYZ community. Whatever they want to do in their own privacy is their business. And I'm fine with that, right? In fact, I have people that I guess you would say that are a part of this community. I'm friends with them. I don't frequent their nightclubs and don't hang out with them on a regular basis, but I do hang out with them on occasion. I respect them. They're human beings like everybody else. But the fact of the matter is what I see here in this particular article and others like it is that someone is really dying for attention. For whatever reason, they're dying for attention. And they feel the need, and this is probably most likely fabricated in a way in order to be able to get spins in the news and the media. It's fabricated in a way that is a shocking thing, right? It's like you've heard of shock jocks on the radio that say really, really provocative things in order to be able to get people to tune in, right? You have these outrageous television shows that people say, "Can you believe what they did on television? You got to go see this." And it kind of draws this audience in. Well, I think that social media has become this way because I think it started with television. And I think once television got to the point where they had pretty much done everything, I think that social media is now kind of trying to live up to that. And people are trying to emulate these which you would call, which they're never this way, but it's the, what do you call it? I got a brain fart. Reality television shows that are the epitome of what is not reality, right? I mean, is the Kardashians, are they living reality? I mean, I guess for, what the left would call the top 1% of 1% or whatever. There's recent pictures of floating around of Kardashian walking around with a see-through bathing suit. And why does someone find the need to do this? Well, because that's how her career was built. She's been identified and labeled, if you will. They don't like the labels over here at Teen Vogue, right? She's been labeled someone that basically gets their money from doing things like this. All right. So the Kardashians were, one of the people that started this kind of crap. And that's what society has become. And what you're seeing it spill out into social media. People are trying harder and harder to get more attention and get more followers. And they're not doing it in a way that's virtuous. It's all material, taking pictures of their stuff. It's their big thing. So is this problematic? How about this one? If you have kids, do you regulate their exposure to social media? I know my son, he's on social media. We're friends on social media. So, I do that because I care about, keeping in touch with him. And I'm a dad first and a friend second. So I do, when he posts something that's good, I like it. And, I kind of keep an eye on him, making sure that he's not playing around the dark edges of the internet. So I'm really curious about what your thoughts are. And let's go ahead and bring Brian from Metairie on. What's going on, Brian?
Good evening. How are you all doing today?
I'm doing good. Is this a different topic for the Battlefield Live?
No. It's what y'all talking about. Jodie Foster did a very short interview, and she only did it once. It was on a public broadcasting station, and I don't even remember, quite some years ago, when she came out and she was talking about her being a lesbian. And I really admired what she said. She wanted to be known not just as an actress and a director and a producer, but she wanted to be recognized as the human being she was, and not have to have a name tag around her neck on her sexuality. And I always admired her for that.
So let me ask you this. So she basically she came out and said that she was a lesbian, but she didn't want to be labeled as a lesbian. Am I catching that right?
Correct. She wanted the world to know of her successes in life, her failures in life, her achievements, her dreams, and she doesn't have to wear a name tag to reach those goals.
Right.
She wants to be able to do that on her own.
Right. So I guess what I'm confused about is one of the things that, and tell me what you think about this, Brian. I think a lot of people really take way too much stock in their sexuality, in their gender identity, all these different things, and they really truly undermine the aspect of the essence of our being. So look, I'll tell you what, Brian, we got to take a break, but I want to get your thoughts on this if you don't mind. Can you hold over to the end of the break, after the break?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so stick with us, folks. We'll be right back after this short break. I want to get Brian's thoughts on this. We'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger, cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic and mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Conditions apply.
USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Stoll.
More than 100,000 people have applied for federal assistance so far. As of today, federal support has reached $127 million.
On the surface, that sounds like a lot of money, but over 110,000 homes were damaged in this storm. Many children of high-functioning autism are able to attend regular schools, but a new school year means parents may need to explain their child's autism to a new teacher.
Disclosure is really good. Letting the teacher know, my kid has sensory sensitivities, my child has trouble with changes in routine or transitions. This kind of information up front is really going to help the teacher to do the best job that they can do for the child.
That was Dr. Thomas Frazier with the Cleveland Clinic that reminds people that every case of autism is unique. This is USA Radio News.
Hey everybody, singer-songwriter Brett Watts here. If you're like me, always on the go, and don't have time to stay as healthy as we would like by eating all the right foods, well, I found an incredibly simple and easy way to get all my fruits and vegetables at once. It's called Daily Lift, L-I-F-T. It's a superfoods energy drink mix supplement that fills the gaps between what you eat and what you don't always have time to eat. This unique formula is packed with 16-plus fruits and vegetables and 59 superfoods, no MSG or GMO. It's all natural and organic, nature's best combination of antibiotics, enzymes, probiotics, and beneficial algaes in one powdered drink mix. Comes in 2 flavors, mint and berry, and both delicious. Daily Lift nutrients help balance your body's pH levels and boost your energy naturally, and it's safe for kids. So let's fire up that immune system and stay focused. Go to www.onedailylift.com. That's ONE, dailylift.com. OneDailylift.com, and let's get healthy.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. Well, President Obama finally making it down to Louisiana, finally finishing his golf game, finally getting off the golf course, and finally showing some concern for victims of the worst natural disaster since Hurricane Sandy. Better late than never, but certainly his week of inaction noted by the people of Louisiana, reminiscent of his delayed response to the oil spill in 2010. Inquiring minds want to know whether he would have acted differently if Louisiana was a blue state. Donald Trump beat him to the punch by several days. Some Democrats say, oh, well, we didn't want him here earlier. It would have been a distraction. Yet no one said that about George W. Bush. People were upset that he didn't come earlier after Hurricane Katrina. So a typical liberal double standard. Bush should have been here earlier. Obama should have been here earlier. In this case, the person who was acting presidential was not Barack Obama, but Donald Trump. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Thank you for sticking with me on the battlefield. These discussions always are fascinating to me because there's so many different angles and ways to go when talking about these things. When you're talking about different races and different, sexual orientation, gender identity, all these different things that are starting to come to the surface now. Whether you believe it or not, it brings out interesting discussions. And I always look for the philosophy under it, and we may talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to bring Brian back on. So, Brian, my question for you is this.
Yes, sir.
So at some point, there comes a time and say, like you were mentioning an actress that felt that she needed to come out and explain, her choices within her sexual behavior. In other words, what is it that she's attracted to, right? Some people believe that being gay is something that you're born with. Some do not. There's no scientific proof of either way. So there's a lot of theory behind this. But seems to be this overwhelming desire for actresses and people on the internet and to come out and define themselves by what they're attracted to sexually. And so your point was, and make sure I understand it, is that you admired, what's her name? Jodie
Foster.
Jodie Foster. You admired Jodie Foster because she didn't come out right away and said it, but eventually she did because she wanted to make sure that her work is what defined her, not her sexuality. Did I catch that right?
Yes, she had explained that she always had known that she had different tendencies, and as she grew older, she knew that she was a lesbian, and that was her life's not decision, but that's who in her body who she was, and it wasn't something that she had to flaunt. It wasn't something that she had to put out in neon lights. It was herself, but she did not want to have her life defined as that. She wanted to be known for the life that she had, her successes, her life choices in film and in writing. She's got some of the most beautiful books that I've ever read that have nothing to do with sexuality or different genders, but of just things that are magnificent that she's seen, that she has experienced, joyful songs in her heart that she doesn't have to follow on somebody else's coattail. And I see so much today that if it's not every other word, it's every other sentence about somebody's sexuality, whether they are in dance, whether they're in music, whether they're a performer, whether they are a host or on television or whatever the case may be. It seems that is what everything leads off on. And it really takes away from that personal part in someone's life, whether they're straight, whether they're gay, instead of what they produce, which is what they have to sell. Just like yourself in front of that microphone. Many people think that's something easy to do. To take 2 hours and to have to fill that microphone and not be repetitious is not something easy. I admire you, gentlemen, and those that have talk shows, not just on your station, but on other stations that keep the attention of the audience. And that's what it is about, keeping the attention of the audience, that they can learn something, you can learn something, and I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is all. I love this kind of conversation. It's interesting talk. I'm hoping that everybody else does. I think that what you're saying is definitely enlightening. So I guess at some point Jodie Foster realized that, or something had changed for her, because I come from this, okay, and maybe it's because I would what many people would consider normal, right? I'm heterosexual, I'm married, have a child, I go to work, 9 to 5, and do my thing, got me a house and a car, so I'm just like your everyday normal Joe. And if I just came out,
insurance, electric bill,
and if I came out and said
the whole shebang.
Yeah, if I came out and said, look, I just want to let you all know tonight that I am coming out and saying that I'm heterosexual, that people would be like, okay, and so what? But it's kind of bizarre to me, and maybe it's because I'm not homosexual, or I'm not, I'm not having trouble trying to determine my gender, that I feel this need to let everybody know about it. Like, that's personal to me, and I'm not going to, get into my personal business publicly, and I just find it really bizarre that people find the need to have to do this, and I find that there's some type of there's a motive behind it, and maybe
there is. And I'm going to tell you what Miss Foster said.
Okay.
When someone has to use their sexuality to gain fame, they are already on the downslope of their career.
I agree with that 100%. Well, Brian, look, I thank you for your call. Your calls are always great.
Have a wonderful evening.
You too. So folks, does this say something about our society? That I think Brian just keyed off something in my mind that I think is very fascinating. If an actress or an actor is utilizing their sexuality in order to define themselves because they're at the downslope of their career, could we say that us as a culture is on the downslope of our culture because we're so overly sexualized in our culture? So much so that we have to fabricate these things in our mind about what type of gender we are. I know that may offend some people, but the science shows that there are men and women, that there are certain things that define us in men and women, with some very, very, very minute, rare examples of to the contrary. Okay? And look, if you're listening to the program and you are transgender, or you're homosexual, or whatever it may, or if you're a black, if you're looking at this from a perspective of race, call into the show. I'll be interested in talking to you and see if I can gain perspective from this. I'm interested. Rusty and Jefferson, what's going on, buddy?
Hi, Chris.
How you doing, Rusty?
I've been listening to your show, and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm listening to some of the callers, and some of these people are people of faith, and some of them I don't know if they're people of faith. And, and Jesus said, you only know them by their fruits. So I'm not judging anybody.
Right, sure.
I'm not judging anybody by their words. Even if they say they're Christian and born again, I got to see their fruit. So right. I'm not judging anyone, but it really amazes me how that people are taken in by this pop culture.
Right.
We're quoting people like Jodie Foster, who lives her life in an imaginary world.
Right.
A world of pretension. Actors pretend their whole life through. That is, well, when I say their whole life through, what they do for a profession.
Right.
And you can't go by what they say.
Right.
You don't know. It's hard enough to be a real person, Chris, in this world, a real Christian or just a natural person in this world. But if people live their lives in front of a camera, always trying to send out impressions to people, project images to people.
Right.
They're not likely to be a good source of wisdom, of understanding about what's going on.
So let me ask you this, Rusty.
Yes.
So could it possibly be that there's so many folks out there that are just really, really, really empty inside, and they see this make-believe utopian world of actors and actresses that they're trying so hard to find just a little nugget of inspiration and good feeling, that they're reaching out to these people and trying to just grasp on any last straw that could actually make them feel a little bit hopeful. Is that possibly what we have?
Well, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So let's bring up a hypothetical. you got somebody that's really just unhappy with their life. They're not a spiritual person. They've grown up in a material type of world. They're on social media. They're always taking pictures of themselves, selfies or whatever you call them. And they looking at Hollywood. They identify with Hollywood not because that is who they are, but it's who they want to be. It's a form of idol worship where they see that these people are through the lens of social media, through the lens of television, that they're virtuous and they're living this life that they wish to lead. But at the same time, they don't have a set of ground morals to be able to tell them that this is not the life that you want to lead. You don't want to be constantly showing your body parts to everybody, you know? And while we may not judge, there's nothing good that comes out of doing that type of stuff, right? We can argue about whether or not it's acceptable and all that stuff and whether or not we should allow it. But the point is I guess what I'm getting at, Rusty, is that I truly believe that we're struggling as a society because we're becoming soulless, that we're losing our spirituality and we're looking to the material world in order to be able to fulfill us from within.
I agree with that 100%. We don't even know what it's like. That's why I used the term early a couple of minutes ago. Not only Christians, but we don't even know what it is to be natural anymore.
That's right.
We got away from nature. I hate to say this because I know I'm going to have a lot of resistance, but I think in part it's due to the technology. We're losing ourselves in the technology, but it's not just technology. It's the idea that we can live in a fantasy land. I mean, how many people go and sit in the cold in a football game or a baseball game, bring their children there, freezing, in order just to escape?
Right.
Just to escape their own personal realities. It just seems to me that we don't want to face up with the real problems of life, and while that's happening, what you said is becoming true. We're losing our soul. And not only our soul in the sense that we don't see the light that I believe personally that God has sent into the world, which is Christ, but also we're losing what it is to be natural human beings. We don't even know how to respond to naturally, so we're following on pop culture. We're following on vain people who spend their lives just taking advantage of other people in the sense that they're making millions and millions of dollars regarding things that are just fantasies that have nothing to do with real issues in life, for the most part. I'm not saying you can't learn something from a movie or a TV show, but for the most part, it's vain fantasy. And I guess I'm just sitting here wondering, you know, I sometimes use the term political correctness for pop culture, PC, another PC. To me, they're synonymous. They go together. And that's what the PC is all about. It's really pop culture. And we're losing our souls in it because for 100 years now, since the movies have come along and radio and TV, we can't distinguish between reality and non-reality. It just seems sad, but you're right. We're losing our soul, and once that happens, it seems like any evil thing, any evil system of government, any evil type of replacement for what it is to be a human being can take its place.
That's right.
And I don't know. Can I ask you one more? Can I bring up one more thing, Chris? If we got a moment?
Yeah, we actually going to have to go to a break. Why don't you ask me the question and I'll catch it right after the break.
Last night I'm trying to do this very, very quickly. Last night I was hearing the end of your show, and you were saying that only the government can never take the place of people, and I forget how you say that now. I got my mind on the other topic. Yeah, in the sense of its rights, that government doesn't give it its rights, but people get its rights from God. That's what you said toward the end of your show.
That's correct.
And I'm just wondering, since you believe, though, that the state, not the federal government, but the state government has those rights, how do you connect the two? Because if the state has its rights, and I'm not talking about the federal government or the national government, but if the state takes the rights that are God-given, isn't that just as bad?
That's a good question. I'm going to answer that right after this short break, Rusty. I appreciate your phone call. Folks, if you have a question, give me a call, 504-556-9696. We'll be right back after this short break.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
You've been on to the Battlefield with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program, as well as WGSO 990 AM. I want to thank you for joining us. If you want to call me, 504-556-9696. We're talking about culture. And this is one of the things that we do talk about on a regular basis, folks. And if you don't recognize that the common theme of the Battlefield Live is more about the culture. The battlefield is in the culture. We often talk about the Constitution. We often talk about politics and politicians and things of that nature. All they do is they're reflections of the culture. Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton are reflections of the culture. And as they get elected, they are reflections of a large portion of the culture, at least the way that they've campaigned. Okay, because there is an argument to be had about politicians and how they operate progressively and be able to, hide their true intentions from the people. But Rusty asked the question, and we were talking about this yesterday. I want to touch on this really quick to answer his question. We were talking about the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and his question to me was, did I believe that government has the right to be able to tell us where we can or the fact that we have to serve certain people. For instance, if I have a restaurant and I'm supposed to, by law, serve someone of a different race that I may not agree with or may not want in my restaurant. And my answer to him it came across, I would imagine, a little bit, I guess maybe it's hard to answer a question like that for a lot of reasons. One, first and foremost, the reason why is because, I am not a person that's prejudiced by any means, at least against people of race. I could care less what color you are, what sex you are, what gender, whatever you want to. We want to have a little category we want to put ourselves into. To me, those categories are put in place in order to control us, and I try to destroy those as much as possible. If you haven't listened to the program, you'll notice that as we go along. But as far as my answer to Rusty is more from a constitutional perspective. The Constitution that we always reference is the national or federal Constitution. It is the Constitution that makes up the federal laws. It is not the same as a state constitution. The states actually gave power and gave rise to the federal government. It was not the other way around. The federal government is supposed to be the least powerful entity in the entire country. The individual is the sovereign. They are the one that is the most powerful. That's the way it ought to be. In fact, right now we're seeing, I believe, an inverse of that, where we are the least powerful. But whether or not a state can mandate me to do business with a certain individual or people that participate in a certain behavior, like to make me serve a gay couple for a gay wedding, or if I was a photographer, make me take pictures. The problem that I have with it is that I don't think that it's right, but states can do that, and I have the ability and the mobility to leave the state. It's no different from forcing me to buy a driver's license or give me the privilege to drive in the state, and I have to be able to go get a driver's license. I think states ought to be able to choose that. I think that states are cultures that experiment with what is good and what is bad, and then if they fail or succeed, then the other states may fall in line with it. Socialism in itself is going to fail every time it's tried. So I am all for a state trying it. That way other states can see what not to do. So the fact is that the federal Constitution that we always talk about, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, which is the Declaration of Independence, the purpose of the country, the Constitution outlines what the purpose of federal government is, and of course the outlining in the Bill of Rights and other amendments is to further punctuate, if you will, our rights and how our rights are protected. That is not the state constitutions. A lot of people don't realize that some state constitutions instituted religious aspects to their states. In other words, I forgot what state it was. I want to say it was like Massachusetts, or it was actually a certain religion that you had to, if you wanted to participate in a certain religion, it had to be a certain religion. It was a part of the state charter. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's because that the states were more powerful than the federal government. So the federal Constitution couldn't tell the states what to do. And of course, over time, that has changed. The federal Constitution was amended, giving much more power to the federal government. And so the long answer to Rusty's question is I do not have a problem with states determining which way to operate in society. It doesn't mean that I think it's right. I don't think that making marijuana legal is a big issue, but I think that if Colorado wants to try it and it works out for them, then great. I don't think it's working out for them. And they always point to taxes. Oh, we get more tax money. Well, that's a material way of looking at it. What is it doing to the culture? So, folks, stick with us on the battlefield. We'll discuss a little bit more about the culture conversation we're having right after the bottom of the hour, and we'll come back on the Battlefield Live for a little more discussion about this. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Richard Tate.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Richard. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
What are you doing to stop traffic when your business is ready to wow the pants off customers? Visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just a trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
This advertisement does not constitute an offer to sell a franchise. The offer of a franchise can only be made through the delivery of a franchise disclosure document.
Fresh Healthy Vending is a new company that is revolutionizing the vending machine business by filling them with healthy and natural foods. That's right. Protein and energy drinks, teas and juices, yogurts, fresh fruits and veggies, soy milk, natural cereals, granola bars. Can you imagine that? It's like having a whole food store in a machine. And you can get in on the ground floor by getting your own Fresh Healthy Vending franchise. You can have your own small business placing healthy food vending machines all over your area in places like schools and hospitals and businesses and airports and other high-traffic areas. Locations that embrace the idea because, you know, they make money too. Full training and support and assistance in acquiring locations. It's all about timing, folks. Pick up the phone, make the call to Fresh Healthy Vending, and get all the details on what could be your big life moment. Get Fresh Healthy Vending franchise information now. Call 800-424-8282. 424-8282. That's 800-424-8282.
Catch the Three Tailgaters Show with Ken Trahan, Ed Daniels, and Rick Gailey Saturday mornings from 10 to noon on WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans.
USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Dole.
And Simone, you have inspired kids all over the globe.
That was Mayor Sylvester Turner of Houston, Texas, welcoming back Simone Biles on Simone Biles Day. Donald Trump says reports that he could soften parts of his immigration policy are partially true. Chris Barnes has detail.
Last night, he's asked about it during a town hall event broadcast on Fox News. His response?
And there certainly can be a softening because we're not looking to hurt people. We want people. We have some great people in this country. We have some great people in this country. But we're going to follow the laws.
Trump stands pat, though, when it comes to his promise to build a wall along the nation's southern border and to deport immigrants who are here illegally who've committed crimes. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
This is USA Radio News.
Have you ever come home from work to find out that the power's out? You reach the power company and they inform you that it'll be out for another 8 hours. Panic sets in. You've been told to prepare for this before. Bottled water, radio, flashlight, easy to prepare meals. And for the next 8 hours, everyone is on edge. No AC, no TV, no hot dinner tonight. What will happen to your family if this same situation were to last 2 days, a week, or even a month? This is Colonel Rusty Humphreys to tell you about Heaven's Harvest. Heaven's Harvest has long-term storable food and water products that will ensure your family's well-being through any man-made or natural disaster. Don't wait for the power to go out. Go to heavensharvest.com and secure your family's well-being today. That's heavensharvest.com or call 800-516-4773. Again, 800-516-4773. Heavensharvest.com. Use promo RUSTY and receive free shipping. Heavensharvest.com. That's heavensharvest.com.
At least 5 people are wounded in an attack on an American University of Afghanistan in Kabul. Shaob Sultan was in a classroom when the attack started.
So we heard very hard, the explosion, which I think it was a suicide, and very hard, so it started to smash all the glasses, everything.
The death toll in Italy is now standing at 120 following an earthquake measuring 6.2 on the Richter scale near Perugia.
The Italian government has an expertise in responding to earthquake situations like this. This is a region of the world that is rather prone to earthquakes.
That was White House spokesperson Josh Earnest. Central Indiana is getting hammered by tornadoes. Officials in Howard County, north of Indianapolis, held a press briefing a short time ago.
We've had
funnel cloud sightings the full distance across Howard County. So it's been a very active afternoon for weather for us.
This is USA Radio News.
Geico presents Kathy, the Candid Real Estate Agent.
As you can see, this apartment has crown molding, and yes, that's a working fireplace. Can't you see yourself curling up with a good book? At least until a pipe bursts, and then you'll need to replace your brand new upholstered sofa. That thing will soak up water like a sponge.
It's hard to know all that comes with renting a home or apartment. That's why the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting covered for personal property loss and damage quick and easy. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
School's back in session, and the local chapter of Not My Kids in Phoenix asks, do you know where your kids are hiding drugs? Lisa Wilcox has more.
It's a fake teenager's room and has hidden fake drugs throughout it. Your job is to play detective. Like this mom.
I shook it, and it didn't sound like there was liquid inside.
It was one of those hiding places in plain sight, which is the whole point of the room. Not My Kid teaches parents about the latest trends in drugs and hiding methods. Not so you can invade your kid's privacy, but so you can be a better parent.
It's about safety and prevention and taking preventative measures for their kids.
The room is located at 52nd Street and Shea and is open to all parents, basically during school hours, through the end of August. In Phoenix, I'm Lisa Wilcox.
Sandra Harros reports the family of a firearms instructor accidentally shot and killed by a 9-year-old girl wants to prevent another tragedy from happening.
39-year-old Charles Vaca was teaching the girl how to shoot an Uzi when things went terribly wrong. The kick forced the barrel upwards and at least one bullet penetrated Vaca's head. His family never blamed the girl for his death.
They want these businesses to be held accountable. From their perspective, it's not right.
Phoenix attorney Mark Lambert says the Vaca family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Northern Arizona gun range.
It's not right that a little child, a 9-year-old, can be given a weapon that shoots over 1,000 rounds a minute.
The family is also working with lawmakers to pass legislation to keep kids from having access to automatic weapons. In Phoenix, Sandra Harros.
USA Radio News, and I'm Rod Williams Stoll.
Hey, it's Rusty Humphries from Trending Today.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program, WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans. Want to thank you for joining me on the battlefield. And you can call me at 504-556-9696. We're having a very spirited discussion tonight about culture. And this is similar to what we do in many nights. And I truly enjoy and love these kind of conversations because they make us think. Culture is so, how's the best way to explain it? Culture is just so challenging because there's so many aspects of culture, right? We look at ourselves as Americans as a diverse culture, a melting pot, if you will, and defining that and determining what part of that is good and bad is really, I think, one of the things that defines us as Americans is we try to find out the best possible ways to be American, right? What is an American? What is an American? Does being an American attached to some type of culture? And how much has that changed? We often hear, I know my mother used to tell me all the time, she'd say, you kids are bad. We never did any of that kind of stuff when we were younger. And then my grandmother, would tell my mother the same thing. So is that coincidence? Does the culture, like anything else in science, is it susceptible to entropy? The law of thermodynamics, right? Is the culture going to degrade and degrade and degrade until we get to the bottom at some point? And then at some point, there's a renewal. Is it a cycle, like the weather or like seasons? These are all interesting questions to me. I'm not so much on the psychology as much as the sociology aspect of it. And look, keep in mind that sociology and psychology came from Marxists. So it's problematic to some extent, but I'm fascinated by it because I do think there's some relevance there. In fact, I do believe that Marx was right on some things. I don't believe that his form of government and what he wanted to do, and that may surprise some of you all because you hear me talk so poorly about Karl Marx and Engels and other Marxists out there. But if you understand what Marxism is and the philosophy behind Marxism, it's basically a de-evolution, is the way I would like to look at it, is a de-evolution to tyranny, and tyranny is the natural form of government. Government at its purest form is tyranny. And as we in society try to fix things, we're always writing laws. We're always, we talked about that yesterday, how one bad law, it turns into another law to correct that bad law. And next thing you know, we got so many laws, we can't even control ourselves, right? And then it comes to the point where everybody's lawbreakers because there's so many laws. Is that a natural process or is it unnatural? Rusty in the previous hour mentioned about how we were fighting so hard to not be natural. I think that our purest form as individuals is liberty. Mark Levin wrote a book, Liberty and Tyranny. It's the dichotomy that amazes me. Government in its purest form is tyranny, while humanity or human beings in their purest form is liberty, freedom. So what do we want to support? Do we want to support tyranny or do we want to support liberty? Well, you don't just decide one day to have liberty and get it. You have to build a culture that respects and reveres liberty. And it's very complicated. Culture is very complicated. That's one of the things about cultural Marxists that they take advantage of. They play around the edges in culture in order to be able to create classes that fight each other. They put us all in boxes. You're a black. You're a white. You're a female. You're a male. And now you're neither or both. Or you don't know. You're Q, questioning. Right? They want to put us in all these boxes. And they want to blur the lines between the boxes so we can fight about that, trying to define it. I got an article, Washington Examiner. The title of the article, Pew Research Center, Americans Giving Up on God and Miracles. Half of Americans who left their church no longer believe in God, leading a surge of nearly 1/4 of the nation who have no affiliation with any religion, according to a new survey. Pew Research Center said Wednesday that 49% of what they term as nuns, that not N-U-N-S, but nuns, N-O-N-E-S, left their church and religion because they don't believe, quote unquote. Another 20% said they don't like organized religion. I'll raise my hand to that one. Other reasons include common sense and lack of belief in miracles. The survey is the latest from Pew that demonstrates a growing trend in America. More and more people are junking religion, and many are giving up on God. Pew interviewed several respondents to try and find a reason. Pew said for an example, here's a quote, about half of current religious nuns, that is N-O-N-E-S, nuns, being, in other words, they don't believe in religion, who were raised in a religion, 49%, indicate that a lack of belief led them to move away from religion. This includes many respondents who mention science as the reason. They do not believe in religious teachings, including one who said, I am a scientist now, and I don't believe in miracles. Other references, common sense, logic, and lack of evidence, or simply say they don't believe in God, end quote. So they got some examples here in the article, examples of reasons why people are unaffiliated. They do not believe. Learning about evolution when I went away to college. Too many Christians doing unchristian things. Religion is the opiate of the people. Where did that quote come from, folks? Religion is the opiate of the people. Use your friendly Google search and try to find that one out. That would happen to be Karl Marx. Rational thought makes religion go out the window. Lack of any sort of scientific or specific evidence of a creator. I just realized somewhere along the line that I didn't really believe it. Here's another quote. I'm doing a lot more learning, studying, and kind of making decisions myself rather than listening to someone else. This is a type of narcissism that we believe that we can look inside of ourselves and find salvation, right? How about disliking organized religions? I see organized religious groups as more divisive than uniting. Well, why is that? Because they define what's moral and immoral. At what point do you totally get rid of all morality in order to be able to try not to offend people? What does that do? It creates an immoral society. I think that more harm has been done in the name of religion than in other areas. Oh, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. In fact, the most murderous religion on the face of the earth is the one that believes that there is no religion, or that there is no God, I should say. And that religion happens to be secular humanism, which is a religion. People like Mao Zedong believed in secular humanism, or Marxist-Leninism, which is pretty much the same thing. Mao Zedong, along with Stalin, Pol Pot, Lenin, Hitler, these were all people that embraced a form of secular humanism or Marxist-Leninism. These are all ideological beliefs that are very much like a religion. Here's another quote. Because I think religion is not a religion anymore. It's a business. It's all about money. Okay, so do you give up on things that are about money? Well, if you live in the material because you reject the spiritual, then you'd be in conflict with that state. All right, folks, well, stick with us on the battlefield. We're going to dig a little bit more in here. We're going to pull up some of the dirt on the battlefield and get down beneath the belly of it. We'll be right back on the battlefield.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger, cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic and mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic, mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
You stepped onto the battlefield with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live radio program, WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans. If you're interested in this conversation and you want to chime in, give me a call, 504-556-9696. Also want to mention our social media. You can reach out to me and follow topics that I talk about all day on social media. I can't be in front of the radio on your radio dial all the time. Do they even have dials on radios anymore? Maybe not. But I can't be in front of the microphone all day, but I can be in front of the computer all day. And sometimes I come up with a thought and I want to share it. And I do that on social media. You can find me at Paul Revere Again on Twitter, as well as at Paul Revere Again on Facebook. And you can find the Lanterns Radio Network and all of our friends at the Lanterns Radio Network at Lanterns Buzz on Twitter, as well as on Facebook, facebook.com/Lanterns Buzz. This show, along with all the other shows that we've done, we're on episode, I think, 376 now. You can find those episodes on Spreaker.com, in SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Player.fm. You can just simply do a keyword search for Lanterns Buzz or do a search for Lanterns Radio Network or just search my name, Chris Pilier, and you'll find us there. And if you can't find me, folks, message me on Facebook or Twitter. I'll get it to you. In fact, you can go to battlefield.buzz and find our social media, or even lanterns.buzz, our website, lanterns.buzz, and you can see all our social media links, so there's no excuse to miss a show. So we're talking about a Pew Research poll that talked about religion. People are actually stepping away from religion. And it's very curious because I think that there's a lot of reasons for this. One of the things that is very interesting to me is that one of the reasons given by some people is that religion is the opiate of the people, which is actually a quote from Karl Marx. And I mentioned secular humanism as a religion. Secular humanism is basically the foundation, if you will, for communism. There's a lot of secular humanists out there that don't realize they're secular humanists because they're buying into the rejection of God. And look, this is a discussion. I'm not sitting here trying to preach to you or shove God down your throat. I'm just simply explaining something that's factual. Secular humanists believe in the rejection of the transcendence of traditions and morals. So in other words, cultural norms, things that you teach your children, they reject that. They believe that teenagers, they have the right to rebel and they should rebel. They send their kids off to college and allow them to experience life and be able to just do as they will. So the rejection of transcendence of traditions and morals. This was the revolutionary culture of the 60s, was the most prominent, recollection of this. You could see how the bra burning and the radical feminist movement and the communist movements of the time, the Marxist movements and all that. They're trying to destroy the culture that was in place for a while because they believe that the culture is oppressive, that the culture was defining who people were, that they wanted to be able to tell women what they were and what they were supposed to do, and they were supposed to get pregnant and be barefoot and cook their doggone husband dinner. Why don't you? It was oppressive, so they had to destroy this. Well, this never did stop, folks. Now we're getting to the point now where they have to destroy the lines between men and women. When there's scientific biological evidence that men and women exist. It's not that hard. Look between your legs. And there's scientific anomalies that I'm not going to get into, but we're talking about the exception, not the rule, right? But the fact is that liberals and progressives, they want us to not recognize the definition. They do not want us to have the labels. because they see them as, stereotypical. And that stereotypes have to be removed because they're bigoted. But in order to be able to live in the secular humanist world or the Marxist-Leninist world, you have to have stereotypes. You have to generate stereotypes in order to be able to find out what classes are being oppressed so they can fight each other. Once again, the liberal progressive paradox that I often mention. Secular humanists believe in the destruction of the fabric of society, incivility, anarchy, and the need for government in order to be able to control the anarchy once it's unleashed. And the anarchy is only the means to an end, the means to destroy the old and bring in the new, a revolution. Secular humanists believe in multiculturalism because they believe that the multicultural aspect will bring in the new scientific communism that they desire. They believe in the distortions of roles of men and women in society, the distortion of sexual purpose. Human beings are perfectible and can rule over other men. This is what they believe. In many cases, they try to do it through science, through genetics, to somehow play God. And they've got 3 Bibles. Number 1 would be Humanist Manifesto 1, which is the development of a new religion, removal of profit-based society, voluntary collective cooperation. Humanist Manifesto number 2 is their second Bible because they didn't get it right the first time in their mind. So they evolved or revolted against the old and started with the new. And they put it more rigid than the first version. It was more rigid. There was an opposition to racism, opposition to weapons of mass destruction, human rights, proponent of legalized divorce, proponent of eugenics, birth control, abortion, and compulsively selective breeding and sterilization. I know that offends some of you out there, the abortion thing, right? Because you think that people ought to have the right to kill babies. I can appreciate that, right? No, I can't. The proponent of technology, rejection of divine grace and salvation. They believe in collective salvation, that we all have to come together in order to be saved. Indoctrination of children in public school with humanism. And then if that wasn't enough, they didn't get that one right. They had to create Humanist Manifesto number 3, which is the full reliance of science for all knowledge, rejection of the supernatural, efforts beneficial to the collective benefit the individual. So the collective comes first. Where have we heard this before? May I mention the same place where we heard religion is the opiate of the people at the same time while they create a religion. Ethics and values are created from human need. Think about that one. Who determines what humans need? That's the first question I would have. Humans are one with nature and a result of evolution. Some of you that even may subscribe to Christianity or another religion may believe in evolution. And that's fine. I think we all as human beings evolve. I've evolved. Human fulfillment comes from the participation in benefiting the collective. Folks, the Humanist Manifestos that were written, 1, 2, and 3, were created in order to be able to generate an alternative to Christianity. And the reason why is because the Judeo-Christian value system is built on individual rights. If you don't believe it, look at the 10 Commandments. In fact, I would argue that the 10 Commandments were designed for property rights. Oh, and then all of a sudden, everybody starts to ask the question, well, what about do not covet my wife? Is your wife your property, Chris? Well, yes. But when we get married, she becomes my property and I become hers. And if you don't believe it, go ask somebody that's divorced. What happens to the property? It gets split in half. It's like splitting a person down the middle. Marriage is a unity between a man and a woman, unless you're in this new age stuff. You know, we can argue about the definition of marriage and what that means. And I don't have any problem with people having a civic unity and creating a contract in order to be able to share property in a contract between 2 men or 2 women if they wish to do so. So I want to talk about this aspect of marriage when we get back from the break. And I think I'm going to mention something here and I'm going to tie all this together. So we'll be right back after this short break on the Battlefield Live radio program with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network and WGSO 990 AM. We'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282, 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Stoll.
And Simone, you have inspired kids all over the globe.
That was Mayor Sylvester Turner of Houston, Texas, welcoming back Simone Biles on Simone Biles Day. Donald Trump says reports that he could soften parts of his immigration policy are partially true. Chris Barnes has details.
Last night, he's asked about it during a town hall event broadcast on Fox News. His response?
And there certainly can be a softening because we're not looking to hurt people. We want people. We have some great people in this country. We have some great people in this country. So, but we're going to follow the laws.
Trump stands pat, though, when it comes to his promise to build a wall along the nation's southern border and to deport immigrants who are here illegally who've committed crimes. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
This is USA Radio News.
Hey everybody, singer-songwriter Brett Watts here. If you're like me, always on the go, and don't have time to stay as healthy as we would like by eating all the right foods, well, I found an incredibly simple and easy way to get all my fruits and vegetables at once. It's called Daily Lift, L-I-F-T. It's a superfoods energy drink mix supplement that fills the gaps between what you eat and what you don't always have time to eat. This unique formula is packed with 16 plus fruits and vegetables and 59 superfoods, no MSG or GMO. It's all natural and organic, nature's best combination of antibiotics, enzymes, probiotics, and beneficial allergies in one powdered drink mix. Comes in 2 flavors, mint and berry, and both delicious. Daily Lift nutrients help balance your body's pH levels and boost your energy naturally. And it's safe for kids. So let's fire up that immune system and stay focused. Go to www.onedailylift.com. That's ONE, dailylift.com. OneDailyLift.com, and let's get healthy.
This is Jeff Crouere with my commentary of the day. Well, President Obama finally making it down to Louisiana, finally finishing his golf game, finally getting off the golf course, and finally showing some concern for victims of the worst natural disaster since Hurricane Sandy. Better late than never, but certainly his week of inaction noted by the people of Louisiana, reminiscent of his delayed response to the oil spill in 2010. Inquiring minds want to know whether he would have acted differently if Louisiana was a blue state. Donald Trump beat him to the punch lunch by several days. Some Democrats say, oh, well, we didn't want him here earlier. It would have been a distraction. Yet no one said that about George W. Bush. People were upset that he didn't come earlier after Hurricane Katrina. So a typical liberal double standard. Bush should have been here earlier. Obama should have been here earlier. In this case, the person who was acting presidential was not Barack Obama, but Donald Trump. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Thank you for sticking with me on the battlefield, folks, and talking about culture. If you want to give me a call, ask me a question, you can call me 504-556-9696 in the WGSO 990 AM studios. We're actually talking from the Lanterns Radio Network studios in Prairieville right now. We actually tuned in. The technology is so amazing, folks, that we can do now with radio. So going a little bit more into culture, and I mentioned marriage before, and I did that for a reason. Whenever the debate about marriage comes up, people get all spooked out because, especially people on the left, because it's like a trigger word for them, the word marriage, because marriage is traditionally between a man and a woman. If you look at the definition of marriage, there's been so many attempts to try to change the definition. And the reason why marriage is important is because is define the unity between a man and a woman. And so it's a whole bunch of reasons I don't need to get into at this point. It's not the whole purpose of my conversation. And personally, I believe that if someone loves another person and they want to create a contract and bind themselves together, I think you ought to be able to do that. And that what the nature of America is contractual, agreements. So there's a little bit of room on either side of it without having to change the definition of the word marriage. Of course, the courts already did that for us since they determine how our society operates. But I wanted to bring this up because there's some audio that I had actually implemented into one of my intro songs a while back. I no longer use that because of some proprietary royalty music that I used to be able to use in other places, and I don't use that anymore. But anyway, it was a quote from a lady by the name of Maria Alexandrovna Gessen. You ever heard of Maria Alexandrovna Gessen? She's a Russian, of course. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her middle name right. Alexandrovna, I guess is the best way to explain, pronounce her name. But she goes by the name of Masha Gessen. Okay, and she's a Russian and American journalist, author, and activist noted for her opposition to Russian President Vladimir Putin. And she's big into the LGBT rights movement, and she's a writer she's written for the New York Times, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, and the New Republic, the Statesman, all the propagandist communist publications around the country. And I want to read this quote because I think this is something that kind of ties everything together here. So she said, and she was being interviewed by someone about the LGBTQXYZ movement, and she was asked about whether or not homosexuals should have the right to marry. And she says, it's a no-brainer that homosexual activists should have the right to marry, but I also think equally that it is a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. Fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we're really going to do with marriage once we get there. Because we lie that the institution of marriage is going to change, and that is a lie. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. And I don't think like taking part in creating fictions about my life, that's sort of not what I had in mind when I came out 30 years ago. She's talking about when she came out as a homosexual. So let me read that last bit one more time. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. She's in favor of destroying the marriage, that marriage shouldn't exist. Now let's keep in mind that she is a daughter of a Jewish family from Moscow at the time of the Soviet Union and communism. And I would imagine that she's probably had a little bit of communist influence. I mean, think about it. So why is marriage important? What does marriage represent? I mentioned earlier about the transcendence of how did I put it? Now that I can't remember, it's the transcendence of traditions and morals. That's what it was. Okay. So I want you to imagine. I'm going to speak about this in a geographic way, and look, stick with or a geometric way, I should say, and stick with me, folks, because I'm really going to get to the very important point here. If you have a mother and a father, and they are united, they're married, and they have a child, the triangle is the most amazing shape known to humankind. In fact, the triangle is the most sturdy shape known to humankind. In fact, engineers use triangles all the time to reinforce all kind of engineered structures. And this is no mistake. This is a reflection of natural law. It's a reflection of the genius of what we would call God and the way that he created things. And he didn't do that any differently through our abilities to create things, but he also did that when he created us. The fact is that when you have a man and woman that come together in matrimony and they have a child, that foundation that's built in the family is the strongest part of any culture. And that is the transcendence of the culture. That's what defines the culture. The family. The family defines the culture. And as families come together, they create a community and a matrix of triangles. That kind of sounds kind of crazy and weird, but think about it for a moment. This goes way beyond just some idea that families are good and families are important. There's a reason for it, and there's evidence there. There's miracles in this, right? We talk about how people don't believe in miracles. How much of a miracle is that? And look, all families aren't perfect. But when you destroy the family, you destroy the fabric of society. You destroy the transcendence of traditions and morals. You destroy the fabric of society. Think about what the fabric of society is. It's what holds it together. It keeps it civil. When I was a child and I had a problem, I'd go to mom and dad. They would help me with it. If you don't have a family, where do you go? So people resort to things when they don't have people to go to, right? Some of them resort to crime. When they don't have a father in the house, they may resort to crime. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but I want to take a phone call. Go to Joseph on the phone. What's going on, Joseph?
Hello?
Joseph, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on, Joseph?
I wanted to ask you a question. You mentioned the name of the Pugh family a little while ago. Do you know what they were up to in 1933?
What the Pugh family was up to in 1933?
Yeah, it's kind of like a trick question.
Well, okay, well, explain what they were doing in 1933.
The Mellons, the DuPonts, and the Rockefellers, those are names of families. There were probably more. That was
the Carnegies?
In an attempt to really overthrow the executive branch of the United States government. We're talking about FDR.
Okay.
After he signed, I believe it was some paper authorizing what they call it, the seizure of, gold.
Right.
In the United States. The ownership, the private ownership of gold by Roosevelt, because he was trying to basically find a way other than going to war to take the United States of America out of the Depression. Smedley Butler was the one that blew the whistle on the attempted coup d'etat. They weren't going to kill Roosevelt. They were simply going to, this has come out on the History Channel a number of times. They were simply trying to use Smedley Butler as, they were going to make him the vice president, FDR figurehead. But they wanted a kind of fascist-style government here, like they saw supposedly in Germany and Italy. And that's how because they felt that the communist movement, or the left, the political left movement, in fact, they probably saw Roosevelt like that too, it has going a little bit too far to the left, and they were afraid that if this would continue, that it would put us into the camp of what I guess you would see socialist countries.
Right.
Like in Northern Europe or some parts of Europe. Maybe even, they probably even thought Roosevelt was a closet communist. I think his wife, Eleanor, was probably a little bit too enamored by socialism herself. I'm surprised people don't compare Eleanor Roosevelt and Hillary Clinton.
Right. Well, that's a very good comparison. Joseph, I want to thank you for your call. So Joseph was mentioning the Fabian Socialists is really what he was mentioning. Carnegie, Rockefeller. There was a movement in the early 20th century, really came out of Europe. There's a couple of different ones. You had the communist movement, you had a Fabian Socialist movement, you had the Frankfurt Marxists, which is really a part of the communist movement. But the Fabian Socialists and the Frankfurt Marxists came to the United States, and they set up camp here and worked to change the culture forever, which they were highly successful. In fact, if you want to know that story, you can buy a fantastic book that I've read several times, written by a guy by the name of Chris Pilier, and you can pick up that book at Amazon right now for $9.99 on Kindle. The name of the book is Deus Ex Machina, The Progression of Secular Socialism. Joseph, you hit on something that I wrote about in my book. I didn't write specifically about Pew because they stink. Okay, that was a joke. But I did write about Carnegie, Rockefeller. In fact, Carnegie and Rockefeller were talking. I was actually talking during the break with Mr. Producer about George Bernard Shaw, who I also wrote about. He was a Fabian Socialist. Fabian Socialists believed that you had to use a means to an ends tactic like Alinsky, and they believed in evolution, and they believed in eugenics, and they believed that they could build a master race of people. And this is all at the very beginning of the 20th century. This was the foundation, if you will, of the progressive movement. So when Hillary Clinton says that she is the early 20th century progressive, that's what she aligns with, not liberalism. That is who she aligns with. A lot of people don't realize this. She aligns with people that were heavily racist, people that agree with the Racial Integrity Act that criminalized marriages between whites and blacks. So stick with us on the battlefield, folks. I want to get back into the marriage discussion, kind of go from there, and we'll close out the shop here on the Battlefield Live radio program. Stick with us right after this short break.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to InGodWeTrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
Like
this
a
is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Thank you for sticking with us on the battlefield, folks, and having a very interesting discussion. I think that you folks are liking it. I'm hearing getting some phone calls and people diving into the battlefield of ideas. So where does this all end up, right? Got a few minutes left here to kind of close out the day. It's kind of like with who is it? Mr. Rogers used to sit and take his shoes off at the very end of the show. It's kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm just taking my green shoes off. He had green shoes or red shoes, Mr. Producer? Do you remember? It's red shoes or green shoes? I don't remember. So we mentioned Masha Gadsden, talk about get rid of marriage, and I was explaining how the foundation of our culture was built on families, and that in order to be able to transcend that culture, you had to have a good lineage to be able to share that. And look, this goes back, and it's been twisted, and it's got good points and bad points. I mean, obviously, when you had kings and queens and bloodlines and all these different things, I mean, there was a part of that was kind of twisted, and people looked at it in a way that is different than the way we look at it now. But people that reject that type of culture, like Miss Masha Gadsden, that believes that we should, marriage that shouldn't exist, and we should just frolic around sexually and fondle each other and do all that stuff. Like, yeah. So, so the thing is that in order to be able to build a stable society, we really truly have to focus on families again. We have to be able to lean on each other. And when we lean on each other, it requires support, right? We talked about the triangle being a very, supporting, a very good supporting geometric shape. And it's for a reason. It's being able to support ourselves as individuals. But sometimes we fail as individuals, and we need people to lean on, right? So where does all this go? So we talked about in the very beginning of the show, we talked about how social media, I believe, is destroying the culture. And the reason why is because we're starting to tear down the fabric of society by getting rid of definitions. We're destroying the language. I often refer back to which it's not all the time that you'll hear me talk about the Bible, but one of the most fascinating Bible stories to me is the story of the Tower of Babel. And what's so interesting to me is that we are all individuals like we are stones. Stones are all individuals. If you go in a creek and you look down in the creek bed and you grab a handful of stones, you're never going to grab the same stone or look what looks to be the same stone. They're all going to be different. They're all individual. And the way that the story goes is that those stones were ground down in order to be able to make bricks. And the bricks were uniform. They were a part of the collective, if you will. And as these stones were stacked on each other, they created a stairway to heaven, if you will. All you Zeppelin fans out there. And this stairway to heaven is that man tried to reach the heavens, right? And, of course, that didn't work out too well if you know your Bible stories. But the point is what were they reaching for? Were they trying to be God? Were they trying to create a utopian society where they were the gods and that gods didn't exist and God punished them? Is it a part of nature that does not allow communism to work, collectivism? I mean, we can talk about the unnatural aspects of some of our sexual proclivities. Males having sex with other males. I mean, it's not, while it may be pleasurable, it's not natural. It's not with the intention of what those body parts were used to do. Those body parts were used to procreate. So the point I'm trying to get at here is, and Rusty mentioned it earlier, us working very hard to not recognize the natural. More and more the culture is shifting into the tattoo world, which, look, I have a tattoo, folks. But the point is that we are slowly but surely deforming our nature. Of course, I got that tattoo before I believed these things. I probably wouldn't have got it after the fact. But it is a rejection of what is natural. It is almost as if the people in our culture that are participating in this type of behavior are upset and angry at what we are, and they try to reject it at every turn. And I do truly believe that there's a lot of emptiness in our culture. And whether or not it's because that we are rejecting religion or because other things in our society that are turning us away from the spiritual into the material, I believe there are just so many factors of this that are changing the culture. I believe the education system is indoctrinating our children in order to be able to look at the material. They're always looking at skin color and genitalia and, the color of hair and the makeup and all these different things that have us focusing on the spiritual. We never talk about the essence of people and the goodness of people and what it is that makes us good. And that good is not relative. Bad is not relative. There is true goodness and badness, if there's any such word. And this is what we have to focus on, folks. The answers to a lot of our problems exist in that question alone. What is good and what is bad? And why is it that we can't define it anymore? We're having trouble defining what type of genitalia we have and what does that mean? What is happening to society? It's being deconstructed is what's happening. We're being fundamentally transformed. And as a culture, we have to recognize this and we have to reverse course. I'm not saying that everybody has to go out and get a Bible school study course and go to the church every night. But at a minimum, we have to recognize that whether or not you believe in God or not, it still requires faith. And would you rather believe in God or rather not? Is it hurt something to believe in something greater than us? I mean, if you look on social media, it appears that people are worshiping, especially when, everybody has their own superhero, their favorite actor or actress. This is reminiscent of idol worship, right? So, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. And if this was, kind of complicated, which I tend to do, I dig a little complicated on things, you're welcome to download the podcast on Spreaker or SoundCloud. Just go to both of those websites, Spreaker.com, SoundCloud.com. Do a keyword search for Lanterns Buzz, and you can download this particular podcast tomorrow. I'll have it loaded up in the morning. I want to thank you for joining me on the Battlefield. You're listening to Chris Pilier from the Lanterns Radio Network. Visit lanterns.buzz, battlefield.buzz, and check out all of our hard work that we do there. Other than that, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Later, Tater.